Fantastic Reality, a humorous publication about physicists and esotericists. The beginning. Part 1. Funny stories about real-thinking physicists and free-thinking esotericists. Forward. How it all began. I just went to the site in the group in the social networks. I will not say where exactly I went, which gathers people who are in love with exact sciences, physical justifications, and evidence. In this group, there are heated discussions of various topics related to space, astronomy, physical laws based on proofs arising from equations, which in order to write, and even more so to understand, you need to know the fundamental physical foundations. And so, esotericists have just come to these enthusiastic, real physicists in their group in order to also wedge themselves into the topic of conversation and bring something of their own related to energy and their understanding of what is happening in the world and in space. Physicists, on the other hand, cannot stand esotericists, neither they nor their free statements, which are not based on scientific evidence, but rely on who knows what. And this is exactly what off physicists. And esotericists endure the attacks of physicists because they also want to say something and insert their understanding of what is happening into the conversation, because they're already boiling, but they understand that physicists do not like them and will persecute them with formulas in which esotericists do not understand anything. I read skirmishes and squabbles between physicists and esotericists in the comments, in which everyone can communicate with each other. I did not spare the time, as they say, did not pass by, although I could not have noticed, but decided to convey their clashes in the comments in the form of my separate publication, calling this publication Physics and Esoterics. Here's what came out of it. I want to say right away that it will be difficult for physicists who soberly and realistically think in the same direction right for them to understand esotericists and all their experiences striving to get closer to the truth, although both of them fulfill the same common will of the Supreme Mind, God the Father. All of them, both of them are forced to go to the same goal, to the development of civilization, only in different ways, looking askance at each other. Why do I need all this? I am asking myself this question. I just wrote it, and that's it. Probably there's still gunpowder in the powder flasks. That's why I wrote it. This is such a small digression. Why did you esotericists come to our site? We're talking about science and space here, and you're bringing us all kinds of blizzards here. This is written in their comments by people who are reverent about science, who love space, physical proofs and formulas, communicating with each other, and at the same time with esotericists who intervene in their conversation. People of science try to ignore the esotericists, but they stand their ground, who want to be listened to, and that's it. They don't need anything else. But the people of science, the physicists, have nerves at the limit, and the esotericists, who believe in spiritual justice, do not know this or do not want to notice it, and therefore they begin their ballad, which has no end, even more pouring oil on the fire of the fire at which the physicists are warming, reading the formulas as a prayer from evil spirits, probably to protect themselves from the esotericists. Well, what else can I say here as an author? Highly moral people just temper their consciousness and endurance by communicating with different people who have different opinions, maybe not pleasant to someone because they express what they believe in, and you need to be patient and listen to the interlocutor because he tries to be understood. And only such restrained, moral, patient people will be able to communicate with other creatures, representatives of other civilizations. Undoubtedly, these people must have iron endurance and patience in order not to disrupt the negotiations of people living on planet Earth with other representatives of other alien worlds. And the one who can listen to the esotericist from beginning to end, what he is trying to tell you, without interrupting or criticizing him, and only the one who will be able to communicate with a representative of any other alien civilization. Many people of science will not pass this test, but they should be patient because for physicists, the main thing is not to listen to the interlocutor, but to try to determine whether he is an esotericist. And if it turns out that this is still an esotericist, then do everything possible to silence him. It will be a mistake that at the negotiations between people living on planet Earth and representatives who have flown from another planet, physicists will act, diluted also with scientists, only nuclear scientists. People living on planet Earth, participating in negotiations, will have to be able to listen to all the statements of the interlocutor, a representative of another world, so that he does not speak through an interpreter. As is customary according to etiquette, as a sign of deep respect, guests who have flown from another world are the first to speak. An alien guest with long arms begins to mumble something in his alien language, stretching out words and phrases as esotericists do. Imagine the expression on the face of a physicist who is loaded with physical equations and their solutions, who has to endure everything that an alien is trying to tell him and rub into his brain, who has just begun to say something, and the physicist, who has a lot of experience in identifying esotericists, has already determined by his conversation and by the way he stretches out phrases during the conversation, making the interlocutors endure getting pleasure from it. The fact that this representative, who flew from another world to the planet Earth, also turned out to be an esotericist for a physicist. And to this alien, a representative from another world, our scientist, a lover of real physics, who recognizes esotericists, will say to his face, some kind of nonsense. Are you also an esotericist, or what? You're bringing me all kinds of blizzards here. The alien, not understanding, after the translation by the translator, what blizzard his opponent is talking about. He does not know that the physicist who came to the meeting did not believe, and still does not believe in any aliens. But he knows exactly who the esotericists are who bring various blizzards constantly drip on his nerves. And the alien, not on purpose, of course, as if playing on the nerves of an intemperate, physically savvy scientist, speaks to him in an incomprehensible language, and at the same time, stretching out phrases as esotericists do, dripping even more on the nerves of the realist physicist, a lover of formulas and equations, a lover of his favorite spyglass, which always showed him only what he wanted to see in space. By the way, He did not see any aliens through his telescope. And before this strange contact with an esoteric alien, she had never shown him something that could not be in reality. And all because aliens, when they meet, will try to tell you something telepathically or directly through an interpreter. All this will seem like some kind of esoteric chatter that can infuriate any person, especially a physicist who believes only in scientific justifications, real evidence, and in the fact that the cosmos is sterile and there can be no one there, only twinkling stars and nothing else. And no matter how hard the alien tried to convince the physicist that he had come from a planet that was located next to the star, pointing to this star with his long alien hand as a pointer on a map of the starry sky, only this alien, in whom the experienced realist physicist saw all the habits of the esotericist, no longer believed, not even paying attention to the fact that there are simply no people with the appearance that this alien had on planet Earth. I want to say right away that for the role of a diplomat in negotiating, an esotericist would be more suitable, because during negotiations, communicating with a representative of another civilization, he can tell the interlocutor a lot of new and very interesting things, which an alien may not even know about what such a thing can happen in space, which an esotericist turns out to know like the back of his hand. And when the esotericist, during the negotiations, begins to rub, as he is well able to do, through an interpreter into the alien brain of the alien information about invisible souls that turn out to surround a living being located on planet Earth, the alien, in order to protect himself from them, will begin to wave his long alien arms, driving away these souls with which the living being is surrounded in order to protect himself from them. Just imagine such a picture. An alien flew to planet Earth to negotiate, but instead at the negotiating table, he begins to wave his alien long arms. Representatives of the press do not know what the esoteric is capable of, who is a bloodline magician, a sorcerer of the 5th generation, who can talk to anyone, with whom he negotiated and unaware of the consequences, an unsuspecting, unfortunate alien who has not seen anything else except his own space. Physicists, knowing what esotericists are capable of and what can be expected of them, simply close their ears, open their mouths, and sit in this state while esotericists carry their endless blizzard, from which physicists begin to have seizures that turn into convulsions if physicists do not have time to cover their ears with their hands, which are constantly open to receiving sound information. And what should you do when you meet an esoteric magician who has a genealogy of the same magicians, freely and directly communicating with astral bodies? And you just need to create an invisible protective dome around your body by crossing your fingers and toes, in order to protect yourself from the influence of the esotericist, and sit in this state for some time while the esotericist talks about spiritual reincarnation. But the defenseless alien who met the esotericist at the negotiating table knows nothing about this. Of course, unable to withstand the psychological attack from an unusual earthling who sees all the astral bodies of the frightened alien sitting next to him, not knowing what he needs to do, will hide under the table and will sit there until the esotericist finishes carrying his endless blizzard without even noticing it, the fact that no one listens to him anymore. Fantastic reality. a humorous publication about physicists and esotericists. The beginning. Part 1. Funny stories about real-thinking physicists and free-thinking esotericists. Author of the publication, Anatoly Sem. March 30th, 2026. To be continued.